Real Country 1430 AM and 107.3 FM WRDN. Good morning from the Dunn County Fair. I'm Brian Winnekins, and welcome to the Dunn County Fair's 2022 Swine Show. And thank you to our sponsors as well for making our YouTube stream and video streaming possible, including Synergy Co-op, your local LS tractor dealer. Visit synergycoop.com for more information. Compeer Financial, a member-owned farm credit cooperative serving and supporting agriculture in rural communities. Visit compeer.com for more information. Bluff Country Feed and Seed, your Dairyland seed dealer, featuring feed for your livestock, Mondovi. Visit bluffcountryfs.com for more information. O'Galley Cheese Factory, visit O'Galley Cheese for all your snacking needs, featuring cheese, locally made beef sticks, sausage, and more. They're open 7 days a week. Highway 25 Durand, and Numbers Are Us. Common Sense Bookkeeping and more. They're a certified QuickBooks Pro Advisor and Daily Money Manager. Visit them online at numbersareus.com or on Facebook. Please thank all of our sponsors. They are the ones that are making our video streams from not only the Dunn County Fair, but also the Buffalo and Pierce County Fairs possible. So please thank them for supporting our video streams. Give them a call, drop them an email, visit their store and tell them thank you. Without their support, we couldn't be able to do this. And don't forget, on our YouTube channel, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Durand Broadcasting WRDN, and click the bell for future notifications. That'll let you know when we're having our next livestock show, which, by the way, is this afternoon at 1 o'clock. Before we get things underway, though, we got someone we have to introduce. And this is Michelle Stangler, and she is our intern, and she's a student at UW River Falls, and this is her first fair with us. And Michelle, well, again, welcome and welcome to the fair. Did you ever think we'd be, you'd see livestock shows on video?
No, and it's a great way to, watch when you can't watch that here. So it's a really cool way to kind of get out and support the youth.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you're a student at UW River Falls. What do y'all major in?
Yeah, so I'm double majoring in agricultural marketing, communications, and journalism. And one day I hope to continue to share the positive stories of agriculture. Grew up on a small dairy farm in southern Wisconsin, and that's where my kind of background began. And now I'm just loving to learn more about agriculture and what it all involves.
And I know so far this summer, you've been kind of busy. We've helped you out sending it to the Agriculture Marketing Association's convention. That was in Raleigh, and then you were in D.C. too.
Yes, I've had quite a busy summer, a lot of cool experiences. So I began going to the American Soybean Association annual conference, but I was there with the Ag Voices of the Future program, which is a scholarship program with AFA, met with some legislators, met with some really cool people, but I also next week, then I traveled to Raleigh, North Carolina for the Agricultural Media Summits, where I learned from professionals, learned from a lot of cool people, some from Wisconsin, some from many other states, of how I can develop my skills more so I can really help agriculture, especially here in Wisconsin.
All right, so Michelle, she's going to be doing some remotes as well for us as well, interviewing some of our exhibitors. You'll be able to hear those tomorrow as well on Saturday morning. But we are just a few minutes away from the fair, the Dunn County Fair's 2020 Dairy Show, and that will be, that was yesterday, Brian, the 2020 Swine Show. And
good morning,
Katie Wantock.
Dunn County Swine Exhibitors. We will be starting the show in 5 minutes. 5 minutes to the start of the Swine Show.
All right, so 5 minutes until the start of the Swine Show here at the Dunn County Fair. It works, Katie. You sounded great. Just saying, you sounded great. And one of the things, Michelle even tried to maybe even get an interview with Katie here as well, to talk about some of the crops going on here in Dunn County as well. But so Michelle, with what, you're a junior or senior at River Falls?
I'm a junior, so I have 2 more years.
Oh, good. That means I got you for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So one of the things you'll be doing as well, not only this summer, but we're hoping, for a lot longer, is you'll start doing some of our hourly market updates. That was something you haven't had any experience with, right?
Yeah, and it's a whole thing in itself, to say the least. But I've been kind of more watching some updates about them and why they're kind of going back and forth. And the volatility of our markets today is just crazy.
It was what surprised you about some of the things you've learned about the markets over the last month or so?
I think a big surprise to me is just how much they change and why they change, and how many factors are external, like compared to like the what's happening in Russia and what's happening overseas with the freight that's happening. So I think there's a lot of external factors that really make it interesting and something that I wouldn't be able to see without this experience, and that's what's really cool.
Is that something? Were you surprised by that? That, geez, I didn't realize there were all these things that are that affect even when I go to the grocery store or the gas station or anything like that, that you never even thought of it. You grew up, your dad probably knows, because he probably said, be quiet, the markets are on, and you never understood what, but now you kind of get it, right?
Yeah, and it's crazy just to see what is happening and how much it does affect, like fertilizer prices, how much that affects the prices and how it will change for someone to plant something else in regards to that. So very unique, very different. And now I see myself very more interested in asking those more deep questions of what's happening and why is it happening.
That is Michelle Stangler. She is our intern this year, and thanks again to the NAFB Foundation as well for helping out with that. But even after the internship, we're going to plan on keeping Michelle around to be able to do stuff because of this remote capabilities. She can do stuff from practically anywhere, just like I've been able to do. So that's kind of so that way yours truly maybe can actually take a few days off, which would be, that in and of itself would be amazing. But again, Michelle's going to be out and about here at the Dunn County Fair today and getting some interviews with some of the kids, the exhibitors for the livestock auction that will air tomorrow as well. So we'd like to welcome Michelle to the staff. Again, it's the 2022 Dunn County Swine Show. Here at the Dunn County Fair, we will have the livestock or the beef show as well later on at 1 o'clock this afternoon, as well on our YouTube channel at Durand Broadcasting WRDN, and also online at our website at realcountry1430.com. So we're going to get things started here in just a couple minutes, and so stick around. We've got all kinds of pigs today, at least this morning here at the Dunn County Fair.
I'll follow it here. Just because they're going to be going all around and what
Good morning in our barns. We are ready to start the swine show for the 2022 Dunn County Fair. Our judge, Kyle Rosenboom, is here. So if you could bring the first class, your Yorkshire Purebred Gilts, to the show ring. Now, class number 1, Yorkshire Purebred Gilts, to the show ring. On deck should be class number 2, the Crossbred Gilts. Class number 2 on deck. Again, we're waiting for our first class of Yorkshire Purebred Gilts. 3 animals make their way to the show ring. I would like to introduce our judge for today. He was here last year. Kyle Rosenboom is a senior lecturer at the University of Minnesota. He has degrees from all over. It looks like Missouri, Kansas. But he is a livestock specialist focusing on youth leadership. And so if I remember from last year, he provides some great comments to the youth here. And so we're excited to have him back. He's also an advisor at Minnesota on the Block and Bridle Club, as well as livestock judging camp for youth. So please give a warm welcome to our judge today, Kyle Rosenboom.
Well, it's certainly a pleasure to be back under the trees again judging. This is always one of my favorite places to judge. It's really neat to see a show out on the grass, and you really get a good chance to see these pigs actually. It's a nice big ring, and they can get out and go, and you can really see their structure and the way they're built. So it's going to be a nice day. We have a cool morning to judge pigs, and hopefully it'll stay cool all the way till the end. But nice place to start. It's really a pleasure to be back. I think if you look at these gilts, they're all about the same age. They're all January gilts, and so you can see there is some just old school production differences in them. A young lady over there has a gilt that kind of performed a little bit better, has a little bit more extra length of body, extra size and performance to her. But I think with that, besides that, she's also the best moving. So I'm going to go ahead and start with you, young lady in the middle. You're going to win this first class. I just think that gilt to me, is the kind in the Yorkshire business that you can make a sow herd around. She's productive in her look. She's very sound on her feet and legs, and just really moves around the ring nicely. Now, she's not perfect. If I was going to kind of improve that gilt, I'd bust her open just a little bit. She's a little flatter in her skeletal design, but from the side and from her soundness and productivity, she's just a really nice gilt to start. These other two get a little bit closer. They're kind of match up in size a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and use this gilt that's in the middle, the young lady with the checkered shirt on. She's going to be second in this class. Probably to make barrows, she's as good as any we have in the class. She's really shapely in her top. Has a lot of expression when you get up over her loin edge. A little bit more kind of compact in her look, maybe not quite as long-bodied, not quite as feminine as the first gilt, but that's a nice gilt for second. Third place is going to be the gilt right here, young lady in the black shirt has. She's a little bit taller probably at the top of her blade than the second place gilt, a little more level out her rump, but her shoulder's a little bit too straight. You can see that she gets a little bit upward, a little straighter and stiffer off her front end, not quite as sound in her movement. But nice place to start, good class to start our show. Congratulations, everybody.
In that first class of Yorkshire Purebred Gilts, first place and champion was awarded to Brenna Berg. Second place and reserve champion to Paige Oth, and third place to Jenna Schaefer. Congratulations. We're moving on to class number 2, which will be our Crossbred Gilts. We have 3 animals coming into the show ring for our Crossbred Gilts. We'll then move on to class number 3, Purebred Market Gilts on deck. Class 3, Purebred Market Gilts on deck. And again, welcome to the 2022 Dunn County Fair Swine Show. We are starting our day with our gilts. Again, we started first with our Yorkshire purebred gilts. With the American Yorkshire is the American breed, large animal, and it is the most popular breed of purebreds in the U.S., deriving from a British large white, or the Yorkshire breed, imported from the United Kingdom. And now we have moved on to our crossbred gilts. But we do start the day with the girls, and then we move into our boys. So we have a few girls' classes this morning.
3 good crossbred gilts here. I think 3 gilts that you could use in a production situation and get along really well. To me, I'm going to go ahead and use the white and dot butted gilt there, the target butted gilt here. She's going to start the class. To me, she's a little younger than the others, so she gives up maybe some extra bloom and fill and performance, but I think she's the best built one. I like her design from the side a little bit better. I think she's really has that neat elevated look through her front end and gets around and kind of floats pretty good. She needs a little more body. She gets a little bit kind of shallower and tighter about her forerib shape, but her design and structure is real good, and it really has a nice look from the side. Second is really close between these 2 spotted colored gilts. There's some trade-offs. I'm going to go ahead and use the gilt that's right here, kind of the sandy bodied colored gilt there, for second over the more spotted gilt. I like her. I think she matches the style of the first place gilt a little bit better. She's a little longer through her front end, levels out pretty nice down her top. She's not quite as heavy bone and probably as balanced as the black and white gilt that wins, but that's a nice second place gilt. The spotted gilt, maybe the deepest body gilt of the 3, but at the same time, she's the most steep out of her hip, unfortunately. Kind of a little bit smaller in terms of foot size and bone. It just doesn't have maybe that extra structural correctness off her rear legs that the other 2 have. But congratulations, guys. Nice set of crossbred gilts.
In that crossbred gilt class, first place was awarded to Samuel Steinmeier, second place to Ryland Homestead, and third place to Caden Homestead. And now we will have our top pigs from those 2 purebred gilt classes, purebred and crossbred gilt classes, into the show ring for naming of our grand champion gilt.
Ken, you're watching coverage of the...
On deck should be class number 3, our purebred market gilt Yorkshires. Class number 3 on deck.
Ken, you're watching coverage of the 2022 Dunn County Swine Show. Thank you to Pierce Pepin Cooperative Services, your Touchstone Energy partner, Shannon Crop Services, your local Pip Seeds dealer and crop insurance advisor in Menominee. 24/7 in West Wisconsin Telecom, building smart fiber optic communities from the ground up. Visit wwt.coop, and Provisions Health, changing the way you experience healthcare. Durand, visit provisions.health for more information. Please thank all of our sponsors. Give them a call, drop them an email, visit their store, tell them thank you for supporting our broadcasts and our video streams on our YouTube channel at Durand Broadcasting.
Again, in the show ring is naming of our grand champion breeding gilt. Our Yorkshires were exhibited by Brenna Berg and Paige Auth. Our crossbred gilts were exhibited by Samuel Steinmeier and Ryland Homestead. Again, we're naming of our purebred gilt in today's show.
Well, nice competition here for your champion breeding gilt. You know, what you're trying to do in this breeding gilt deal is maybe try to find those gilts that could generate the next year's show pigs for these kids if they take them home and breed them. And so in our house, we like good design ones. I like ones that their feet and legs are made right, because those are the kind that you can mate to a lot of different boars and try different sires on them. And their feet and legs hopefully will kind of keep your offspring kind of in the middle of the road and make them marketable. And I think there's just a couple that are just really more correct. They're leveler in their top. They're more level out their rump structure, and they just move around the ring just a little more ease and flexibility. And so the champion today is going to be the Yorkshire gilt that came out of that first class. Let's give her a nice round of applause. That's just the kind of gilt, I think, in the Yorkshire business that you would really like to have a bunch of sound and maternal and good design. And again, you could take her to a lot of different boars and generate some really good offspring. Second place, a reserve champion, is going to be the one that's her skeleton's the most like her. She's the best designed of the remaining ones. It's going to be the crossbred gilt, will be the reserve champion overall. Congratulations, young man.
And in our breeding gilt classes, our grand champion is awarded to Brenna Berg, and our reserve champion was awarded to Samuel Steinmeier. Congratulations. We're now moving into our purebred market gilt classes. Our first class is the Yorkshires. Please bring your animals to the show ring. Purebred market gilt Yorkshires to the show ring.
Yeah, she'll be here later this afternoon. Her grandson has been spending a week with us, so we were at the fair yesterday, and she has to take him back home today.
Again, currently in the show ring is class number 3, our purebred market gilts. We will then name our, we then show our Duroc market gilt, followed by naming of champion and reserve champion of our purebred market gilts. Judge, we do have one more animal coming in. Hold on.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, the judges currently placing our Purebred Market Gilt Yorkshire class. I do see our Purebred Market Gilt Duroc in the show ring, and then we will name our champion and reserve of our Purebred Market Gilts.
Well, it's not every day you get to see this many purebred Yorkshire market gilts in a class, so that's kind of neat. I've been to a lot of fairs, but I've never had a chance to see such a large group of purebred market gilts. It's kind of neat. So there's a lot of Yorkshire love here in the county, so I think that's kind of. This is one of the breeds I grew up with in our farm out in western Minnesota. We were raising purebred York, so I like this breed. I think they can do a lot of different things, but I have to look at these as market gilts, so it kind of changes speed a little bit from the breeding gilt class. We still want that structure, but we want some additional carcass merit, some leanness, some shape, and some stoutness. And I think there's one that comes together and has that extra show pig look. Young man right here, you're going to have your first place market gilt in this Yorkshire deal. Where she excels all the others is just her extra look. She's taller at the top of her shoulder. She's more extended from her blade forward. When she gets out and gets that head jacked up, she's really stylish. She's got a good look. And then when you read her down her top, there's a really nice shape to her top. She's got some freshness to her back. That's a nice gilt to start. Second place is going to be this gilt right here that we've had some struggles with along the fence. She's a little ring sour, but it's not a showmanship competition right now. It's evaluating the hogs, and I love her stoutness. I love her width. She's really opened up at the base of her chest. She's got a big forerib in her. She's not as sound and as good in terms of skeletal looseness. She's not as flexible as that class winner, but you love the fact that she's really opened up, a lot of body, a lot of power. This one's really neat to look at. She's just a little bit over, I think a little bit past her prime. I like to just lean that one up a little bit, freshen her up. She's just got a little bit too much on her. I love her stoutness, her bone, just her power is really interesting. She's really big out of her hip. Just maybe not quite as fresh, not quite as lean, not quite as good in terms of her top shape. This one here that comes here next is just a nice solid gilt. She just ran into a really competitive class. The young lady does a good job showing this gilt, keeps her head up, keeps her out there kind of in the middle. I love her side view as good as any. But when you get in front of her, she's a little more closed up in her skeletal width. She's not as powerful coming and going. Her side view is her best look. She's elevated, she's tall. She actually looks a lot like that first place gilt from that side view profile. So she definitely is one that can move up in the, needed to move up in the class and be competitive. Then we get into a couple gilts, and we can let them kind of out as a group probably, and I can explain what I see in both these gilts. These gilts don't lack muscle. This one coming out here doesn't lack top shape. She doesn't lack that expression out through her, into her base of her ham. She's just not designed quite as good. She kind of runs downhill just a little bit. She's a little bit stiffer and tighter off both ends. The young lady going out the ring, she's got a nice design gilt that just needs more muscle, needs more width of body to move up. So these are two uniquely actually different styles. I like to combine them, take the profile, the one going out, and the muscle, the one now going out, and you could have something pretty cool. The one here that comes here next, very heavy boned. Unfortunately, just kind of gets a little bit short in her face, a little bit straighter in her shoulder, not quite as sound. This one gets to be kind of tall and long, but needs a little bit more rib shape and body to move up in the class. And then we got a couple gilts here at the end that just didn't have enough probably muscle and width. This one here has good bone and foot size. I appreciate that, but she kind of tracks a little more narrow than I'd like. The gilt that concludes the class just needs to be opened up with just quite a bit more width of body. Nice design, good profile on that gilt. Just needs a little bit more power coming and going. So a nice set of gilts. Congratulations.
In that Yorkshire Purebred Market Gilt class, first place was awarded to Nate Edwards. Second place to Cashton Steinmeier, and third place to Brenna Berg. Now in the show ring, we'll have our Duroc Purebred Market Gilt, followed by the naming of our champion and reserve champion Market Gilts.
So what we're doing now is the Duroc was her own class with her own breed, and now she's competing against the first place York for your overall champion Market Gilt. Certainly I'll comment on the Duroc first before I'll pick a champion. She's the one that you can really like from the side. She's really kind of has a nice tall shoulder in her. She's really long in terms of her front end and has a good length of hip. If I was going to improve that gilt, she's maybe a little more breeding style than maybe market style. You'd like to just see her in a market class have a little bit more power, a little more shape of muscle, maybe widen up and stouten up her chest floor just a little bit. But certainly her soundness is really good. You love her side view design. I guess when you match her up and you think about what a market gilt, ideal market gilt should look like, again, I think she needs just a little bit more shape, a little bit more power. And that's probably where the Yorkshire beats her, that extra top shape, that squareness to the upper rib cage of the Yorkshire probably has a little more advantage there. The Yorkshire is going to be your champion market gilt today. Congratulations. For reserve champion, it may tighten up just a little bit in my opinion. The Yorkshire just really isn't very happy being out here. But again, I'm not judging showmanship right now. I'm just judging her as a market gilt. That Yorkshire comes at you really wide. She's so busted open in her shoulder and her rib and just has a lot of power. The Duroc may be just a tick sounder, to be honest with you, so there's some trade-offs there. But I'm going to keep the two Yorkshires together for the extra shape of muscle. The other Yorkshire gilt will be reserve champion.
In our Purebred Market Gilts, our champion today is awarded to Nate Edwards. Our reserve champion was awarded to Cashton Steinmeier. Congratulations. That concludes our Purebred Market Gilts. We are now moving into our Crossbred Gilt classes. We're starting with class number 4, 4 hogs to the show ring for our first Crossbred Market Gilt class. So again, class number 4 is entering the show ring. Class 5, please be on deck. Class 5, Crossbred Market Gilts on deck. In this first class, we'll have 4 hogs in the show ring, ranging in weight from 213 pounds to 226 pounds.
As we get into this first class of market gilts, you know, lightweight gilts and lightweight barrows are a little sometimes harder to evaluate because they're just a little green. They haven't really bloomed and filled out like a 280-pound barrow. But I know if I'm looking at this weight class or looking at this size at our house, I want a pig with just a little bit more future to them, I guess, just a little more extension. Probably ones that their feet and legs are a little bit better so they can hold into that heavier weight just a little bit better. And I think there's just a couple that are just a little more comfortable on their feet and legs, but yet still have enough muscle for a market class. So the young man right here coming across the middle, you're going to be first place in this class. Congratulations. The gilt must have got a little water in her ear or something. That right ear, she's just holding a little bit down, but that don't bother me because that gilt to me, for a lightweight mark gilt, that's how I'd want one designed. She's a little taller at the point of her shoulder. She's a little more extended from her blade forward. She's really shapely down her top. There's a nice shape, and she's got good bone and foot. So I think she puts it all together in this lightweight class. After that, there's some trade-offs. I'm going to go ahead and use you second, okay, because I think you follow that type a little bit better, a little more extended up through her front end, a little more shape, probably a little bit more correct on her feet and legs than the two remaining. I'm going to use the black belt, the gilt in third down there. She just needs to handle her hind legs just a little bit better. She's wide and she's stout, and you've done a nice job with feeding her. She's got a big top in her and all that, but if you get her out moving, she really has some hitch to that hind end. Her hip is a little bit wrong. It's kind of a little tight, and she just maybe doesn't flow quite as free and easy, but she's a wide gilt with plenty of power. Then we're going to finish with this white gilt right here that's maybe just needs to be looser structured. She probably has a little bit too much muscle from the standpoint it's just tying up her skeleton just a little bit and making her just a little bit too unsound. And even in these market hogs, they need to be sound if they're going to be out here kind of competing. But I love her width. She's certainly got a tremendous amount of muscle in that gilt. Just needs to kind of be a little more flexible. So good start to our market show. Congratulations.
In that first class of crossbred market gilts, first place was awarded to Brian Steyer, second place to Ashton Greenwell. We'll now move on to class number 5, our crossbred market gilts. Gilts ranging in weight from 235 to 247 pounds. Again, class 5 to the show ring. Again, Class 5 is currently in the show ring. Class 6 should be on deck. Class 6, Crossbred Market Gilts on deck.
Well, this is a really good class. A lot of good ones in this class, all the way to the remaining ones in the bottom. But it's a tough class, and so don't feel bad if you got placed down lower, because there's some good ones in here. These three are very close, and I don't know if there's a clear-cut winner. To be honest, I don't know if there's one horse is just in front of the others. It's just they're very close. And to me, to really get over the top in a market hog show, certainly you have to have muscle, and all the hogs have enough muscle in today's industry. But to get over the top, it has to be design. It has to be soundness, that extra show pig look that just kind of elevates you. And I think your Gilt has that. I think you're going to win this class because she's got that extra look and balance. So let's give her a nice round of applause. When she gets this Gilt out showing, and I do like the showmanship of this Gilt. She's not been over hit with the whip. Sometimes these white ones, you can over whip them, so you got to be very careful with that. And then they get a little ring sour, these white Gilts do. But that one there, you get her head up, and you like her extension, you like her levelness, and by far she is the most correctly structured in her hip and hind leg, the way it's put together. She just reaches and hinges so much better than these others. The other two they just get a little tighter out through their rump and maybe don't move quite as good. That one's really nice in terms of balance and structure. The spotted gilt's going to come here next, or some people call them kind of the tri-colored. We're going to bring her in and put her in that second hole. I like your width of your gilt. She's got some power. She's just got a little bit tightness right up through her hip loin junction. You see how she gets a little tighter through her hip loin junction. She wants to be a little rounder out of her hip. And because of that, if you really watch her go away, she wants to roll out of her hock and kind of get outside her skeleton. Now, I'm being pretty critical of that gilt because that's what kind of it took in this class to separate these top three. But that's a good gilt in terms of power and width and squareness. Her front end's really good. Nice second place gilt. Young lady's going to end up third with this gilt here. Her bone and foot doesn't match maybe the amount of muscle she has up top. She gets a little finer at the ground, doesn't have quite that extra heaviness of skeleton that the first two have, but that gilt's neat in her top shape. She's been fed really nice. It's a fresh top. It's a lean loin edge. That's a good top shape. I really like the freshness of that gilt extremely well. Just needs a little more bone and foot to move amongst those other ones, but that's a good kind of gilt. The gilt here that comes here next and worked her way out of the pin. Boy, if she was just stouter coming at you, she's really nice from her shoulder back. Love her top line, love her hip, and she just has a really kind of a lean, neat shape to her top from her loin to her hip. She's been fed really good. She's just a little frail coming at you, a little finer in terms of her bone and foot, a little bit kind of finer skull that doesn't have quite that stoutness of skull shape and power that maybe you'd like to see. But boy, her side view profile's good. She showed real nice out here. That's a nice gilt that ends up in fourth in a really tough class. This one's the different one. She's a little more compact and boxy, a little earlier maturing probably than ideal. Where I'd really like to change is her structure. She's down on her pasterns, both front and rear, and her hocks are just a little bit more bow-legged than ideal. Now, she's the widest, maybe a gilt at the top end, and she's very heavy boned, so there's some unique features about that gilt, but her structure kind of cost her in this tough class. Gilt coming here next just needs to be opened up a little bit, as does the blue butt gilt that concludes the class. Good kind of hogs, level, pretty correct, but they're the lighter muscled hogs of the class, not quite as opened up in terms of their top shape. So good class of gilts. Congratulations.
In that second Crossbred Market Gilt class, first place was awarded to Mariah Creaser, second place to Ashton Greenwell, and third place to Miranda Creaser. Congratulations. Now entering the show ring is class number 6, our Crossbred Market Gilts that weighed in 252 to 270 pounds. Class number 6 to the show ring, Crossbred Market Gilts, class 7 on deck.
You're watching coverage of the 2022 Dunn County Swine Show on our YouTube channel at Durand Broadcasting WRDN and online at realcountry1430.com. Thank you to our broadcast sponsors, including Alcivia Co-op, a leading member-owned agriculture fuel cooperative serving Wisconsin, Minnesota, Illinois. Visit alcivia.com. Security Financial Bank, where electronic banking is easy. Visit sfbank.com. Sundstrom & Company, your local tax experts. Call them for end-of-year tax planning, 672-4425, and schedule that appointment today. Also, Prime Realty of Durand, the area's #1 home seller. Visit their website at primerealitymidwest.com. Adams Super Service, your Napa Gold Car Care Center, Durand. N-Tech, your premier communications and entertainment provider, Durand. And Dunn Energy, your Touchstone Energy partner. Please thank all of our sponsors. They make our broadcasts possible here on WRDN and on our YouTube channel and website. Please visit our sponsors, give them a call, drop them an email, tell them thank you for supporting these video streams, because they're the ones that make these coverage possible here at the Dunn County Fair and upcoming Buffalo and Pierce County Fairs. As we continue on with the Hog Show, a reminder, like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Durand Broadcasting WRDN. Don't forget to click the bell for future notifications of future upcoming events. Again, we'll have the Beef Show after the Hog Show here. Beef Show scheduled to start at 1. We hope to be able to have a little bit of a break in between the two shows so we can move the equipment, but if we need to, we'll join the Beef Show in progress.
Again, good morning. We are now on class number 6 of our Crossbred Market Gilts. We'll go through a little facts for the day. Our swine, of course, were among the first of all animals to be domesticated around 6,000 years ago. Do you know who were for the first to raise wild pigs for food? Which culture was the first to raise wild pigs for food? It was the Chinese who were the first to raise wild pigs for food.
Another high quality class here. This one maybe even just a tick better, to be honest. Quality's deep in this class. You know, you look across the spectrum here, you got two gilts with the kind of the painted up gilt and the belted gilt here that almost look like litter mates to me, and then this is kind of the odd duck gilt of the class. It just is a different style, and so, you know, the one over there probably has to go either first or third because she has just a different look and build about her. But I'm going to keep these two together, to be honest. I think they're the stouter hogs of the pair, and between these two, I'm going to go ahead and use the young lady's painted up gilt to start the class. Let's give her a nice round of applause. That one there is just really square, and that's kind of a buzzword here in the show pig industry, just that square look, square build. And, you know, she comes at you a little wider in her chest floor than the other gilt that looks like her a lot. She's just a little bit more of her between that two. There's more chest floor width. Young lady gets her head up high, and then you can see how powerful she is through her forearm, and her front end is really powerful and square. And there's plenty of muscle down her top. She's been fed good. Just a nice gilt to start. I'm going to go you second. I think your gilt is most like her. They're really nice design hogs. There's just probably not as much maybe sheer width in the belted gilt as there is in the painted gilt. Maybe not that extra bone and foot size, but their tops are very much alike. They're both level hip, level square rumped hogs. Just two nice gilts to start the class. Then this is a unique gilt. I'd like to see her probably just a little bit opened up. Her forerib, if you look at her forerib, it's a little flatter. It's not as round and as bold in her forerib shape. But she's a neat neck, clean-headed gilt that has a good shape to her top. She's kind of tall and extended through her front end, gives you that elevated look. A lot of neat features of that gilt, just a little flatter in terms of rib shape. These two come next, and they're not any much alike. They're just maybe something about them you like and something you really want to change. And the dot-butted gilt going out, she's wide and stout, needs to be elevated and sounder. The silver gilt has that elevation and soundness. She just needs to be wider. So you almost want to just mesh those two together because they're very piecey kind of hogs. They just need a piece you like to fix. And then you got this belted gilt that comes here next. You can see right at the top of her shoulder, she's a little more narrow. Her chine bone's coming up just a little bit. She needs to be more expressive in her muscle shape. The gilt here that comes next and the gilt that concludes the class, they went in because of structural probably issues. Their their rear leg and the way their hocks are set, they just kind of roll out. They're not as fluid and sound. They have some structural issues. It's not a width issue. Both of them are wide enough to be competitive, but they need to handle it better in their feet and legs. So congratulations on a good class.
And in class number 6, our first place was awarded to Brenna Berg, second place to Brady Berg, and third place to Eli Biesterveld. Congratulations. We're now moving on to class number 7, our crossbred market gilts that weighed 271 to 308 pounds. 271 to 308. This is our final crossbred market gilt class. Please have our first and second place crossbred market gilts on deck for naming of champion. Again, we're on our final class of Crossbred Market Gilts for the day, our final class of Gilts. For those that are just stopping by to watch the swine show, these are our female swine that are called sows. Sows give birth, gilts will become sows. Thank you. Yep. Gilts will become sows. Sows give birth to litters of pigs twice a year, and each litter usually has 8 to 12 baby pigs. And giving birth to those baby pigs is called farrowing. So we'll have a quiz on our terminology later on in the day.
Little more challenge to this class as we get to these bigger gilts. Maybe not a gilt in here that maybe just structurally is the perfect one. Each of these top 3 gilts, to be honest, structurally have a problem. You'd like to fix them just a little bit, but I think as a whole, they're still the combination hogs of the class. They have a little more shape, and as you get to this heavier weight, sometimes the first thing you lose is the pigs are just getting a little bit more condition over their 10th rib, and their carcass merit isn't quite as good. And it's a market hog class, so you got to kind of keep some carcass parameters in line as you really get to this heavier weight especially. But I think all in all, the most complete one in the class is this gentleman right here in our green, our turquoise shirt, I guess. I think your gilt, to me, of the 3 that are out here, I like her in terms of her overall complete look. I think she's got some length to her front end. There's some show pig look about her head and neck and her way she's built up there, and she's got a nice shape to her top. I'd be the first to say that her rear leg just gets a little choppy. I'd just like to see it flex just a little bit more as she goes behind, but that's being pretty critical in this class. That's a good gilt to start. Kind of closer for second, and I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer. I think they're very close. They're kind of different, but I'm going to go ahead and use the young lady in the middle for second with her gilt that has the kind of folded back ears there. To me, that's the really most powerfully muscled one. Now, I'd be the first to say I'd like to see her just motivate and reach with just a little bit more aggressiveness off her feet and legs. She's just a little stiff in her stride, but she's really big in her top. There's a lot of shape to her top, and she's got a big hip and a lot of muscle. Comes at you wide. She's just a little tighter as she gets going in the class. And then what happened to my 3rd place gilt? She took off? Okay, the 3rd place gilt if you remember that gilt, she's got a nice lean top shape too. If you just remember, she got a little bit frailer in her bone and kind of got a little bit more tightened up in her chest. So, but she's a nice top gilt, probably a little more muscular than the gilts that we're going to talk that she beat. There's a little more muscle. This gilt is to me just a little bit past her prime. You know, she's a big solid gilt. There's good foot and bone underneath her, but if you really study her, she's probably got the most condition on her of any gilt in the class. And in a market gilt class, her carcass merit, her carcass composition is going to be a little bit weaker than the others because she has more condition on her. I like to just lean her up, but I like her bone, and I like the fact that she's sound and gets around the ring. This gilt right here is leaner than the gilt that just went out. I'll grant you that, but she's also quite a bit narrower. She's one of the narrower skeleton gilts in the class. Just need to be busted open from end to end, but she is leaner, and I certainly could see a person switching that pair because of her extra carcass advantage. The black gilt has a nice shape. She just needs to be a little bit heavier bone. She's a little more refined and frail in her features. And then the white gilt that concludes, she gets a little bit flatter muscle. She may be one of the flatter ham gilts we had in the class. Just like to see her a little bit leaner as well. So nice set of gilts. Congratulations.
In that final class of crossbred market gilts, our first place was awarded to Will Wanish. There we are. Second place to Elizabeth Weinzerl, and third place to Cooper Kitchener. We'll now be bringing our first place crossbred market gilts back to the show ring for naming of champion. Our second place crossbred gilts should be on deck for naming of reserve champion. In our lightweight crossbred market gilt class, our first place was awarded to Brian Steyer with a hog weighing 221 pounds. First place in Class 5 was exhibited by Mariah Creaser with a gilt weighing 235 pounds. In Class number 6, first place was exhibited by Brenna Berg with a gilt weighing 270 pounds. And in our heavyweight class, Will's gilt weighed 289 pounds. Again, the judge is naming our champion crossbred market gilt.
Well, how about a nice round of applause to our market gilt exhibitors here. Really neat to see the large classes, the number of classes. You know, there's some fairs I judge that maybe more of the kids are just gravitated towards the barrows, and because of that, the breeding gilt and the market gilt divisions will be smaller. But here, we got a good set of market gilts. There was a large number. It allowed me to kind of judge them maybe tougher at a higher level. I could really look for the finer things to separate the top end. So that's kind of fun as a judge when you get big numbers and you can kind of judge them at, you know, the higher level, really the tougher things. But you look across the board here, hopefully you see some resemblance of kind of what I think these market gilts that are winning kind of look like, to me anyway. They're neat looking hogs. They have to have style. It's a show, and they got to have some show ring appearance. And then you know, there's other divisions. There's the carcass contest, which is great. I think kids need to learn about carcass merit and how you measure poor carcasses. I teach that one of my classes at school, and it's a good thing for kids to get in the coolers and learn how to do that. You know, but that's part of it. Certainly I talked a lot about muscle, but to be honest, in the show pig world, if you look at most of the pigs that we had today, they all have enough muscle. I only saw maybe a handful that I'd call light muscled, but in all reality, relative to the commercial industry, these pigs are very, very heavy muscled in the scope of things. So I don't think there's a lot of, as long as they're muscular enough, that's enough for me. I guess I'm not going to reward an extra heavy muscled hog because maybe in all reality they all have enough muscle. But to me, to get over the edge in the show pig world and these shows that are out there, they got to have a look about them. Judges want to have to be attracted to hogs. They have to have some eye appeal. So they have to kind of have a neat look through their front end. They got to be kind of tall shouldered where they look like they kind of are almost running uphill, and they have that nice presence about them. They need to be level. They need to be sound on their feet and legs, and then they need to be able to go all day, because some of these big shows, these hogs are out driving for 20, 30 minutes as they're competing for champion overall. So their feet and legs got to be good if they're going to be able to go that long in a show. So great set of market gilts. I know we got the barrels left, and that's going to be good too. I remember that from last year. Been a good morning. The weather's been cool. It's been fun to kind of judge the pigs. My favorite market gilt today in the show was yours, young lady. Congratulations. Good job.
And our champion crossbred market gilt is awarded to Brenna Berg. She was in class number 6, so second place, Brady Berg. Please bring your second place animal to the show ring.
Well, for me, the reserve champion gets tighter, to be honest. First of all, we dropped the second place gilt in, and you say, well, you said she looked a lot alike that first place gilt, and she does. Her side views are very much alike. This one's very level. This one's very square out of her hip. Where they differed was the squareness at the ground. This one maybe doesn't come at you as square at her knee, and at her front end she kind of turns in just a little bit. And she's not quite as wide tracking and as square tracking as the one that beat her in that class. But that's a really high quality gilt that's out here for contention. These other gilts, you could argue their points, the kind of that sandy rump gilt that won the first class. She just needs a little more size and weight, but she's built good. Today she maybe gives up that extra power and chest floor, but boy, her bone, she's maybe one of the bigger boned, heavier footed gilts that we have out here relative to her size. And so you could argue her point. You could argue the big gilt's point too, and I looked at her too. You love her shape down her top. You love her length of body. I would like to see her hinge out of her hip just a little bit better. She gets a little bit goose-steppy behind there. I'd just like to see her want to go. And then the white gilt's an interesting gilt. She's got a beautiful shape to her top. The feeding program behind that gilt and the skin and the hair is really good on that gilt. Big hip in that gilt. She gets a little bit funny off those hind legs every so once in a while. She wants to get outside her skeleton. So there's some trade-offs there, but the power and the width, and I think the one actually that looks most like the class winner when you really study her coming and going is the white gilt. She's going to be reserve champion. Congratulations.
Reserve champion of our crossbred market gilts today was exhibited by Mariah Creaser. Congratulations. And that concludes our gilt classes for today. We're now going to move into market barrows. Our class number 8, our Berkshire market barrows. Please make your way to the show ring. Our 2 hogs in class number 8. Class number 9 on deck.
So as we start into the purebred barrel division, we're going to see some different classes of the different breeds, and then we'll bring the breed winners back for a Supreme Champion purebred barrel, the way it sounds. So we'll start off with a pair of Berkshire Barrels, a breed that I think's really interesting and really coming on. You see a lot of these showed across the country. Very popular breed, and this is a breed that my family still raises out in western Minnesota, but we don't, my older brother still has the family farm, and we don't raise them for show pigs. We're part of a meat co-op that ships all the pork in that co-op. We're a part of a group, and all the pork goes directly to Japan. Because this breed is known for marbling. It's got a tremendous amount of meat quality. So if you're looking for a pig to buy in the auction and you want to eat the certified Angus beef of pork, buy a Burke. Now you'll have to trim a little of the fat off the edges, but they're really good meat quality. But it's a show pig world, and so we got to keep some muscle in them. And I think yours, young lady, is going to win this class because of the extra muscle shape. You look down the top of your barrel, he's got a little more shape to his upper rib, and there's more groove of muscle down his back. And that's a good barrel in terms of stoutness and bone. A nice quality Berkshire barrel to represent this breed later on today. The other barrel, good productive barrel. Looks like he grew really well. Looks like a very easy feeding kind of barrel that really grew well over the summer. He's just a little plainer in his muscle, got a little more fat, to be honest, right over the top of his loin edge, and so he's not quite as lean and muscular, but he's a good, deep-bodied, solid structured barrel. Again, that looks like he performed really well on feed. So congratulations.
In our purebred market barrel Berkshire class, first place was exhibited by Emily Zukowski, second place by Brian Steyer. Moving on to class number 9, our purebred market barrel Durox. Class number 9 to the show ring. Class 10 on deck. Again, currently in the show ring are our purebred market barrows, our Durox, ranging in weight from 231 to 320 pounds. So there's a good deal for the market animal sale on Saturday evening, 320. Don't have to pay for all of that extra meat.
Well, we have a wide variety of type and kind in this class, and seeing these big barrels kind of reminds me of when I was a kid growing up on our family farm. When I was growing up, we actually ran 4 breeds, and currently, like my older brother has Berks, but when I was growing up, we had Durox, Yorks, Chesters, and Hamps, and we ran about 300 sows, and that was the old days where you could sell a lot of boars. And I don't know if the only old hog breeders are in the stands that remember when you could sell commercial boars, a lot of them. But anyway, that industry's kind of gone. But I do remember one thing. My dad had a sign out in front of our driveway, and there was the slogan. Anybody remember the Duroc breed slogan from 25, 30 years ago? It was Duroc hogs, they'll grow on you. Remember that? That was the Duroc breed slogan. Well, we have 2 pigs that prove that. They'll grow on you. And that's why commercial guys, this is still the breed of choice in the commercial industry. You get out in the big commercial industry, they use red boars on those white sows because they do grow. Problem in the show ring, sometimes they might grow a little too fast and they'll start getting kind of fat on you. And unfortunately, that's kind of maybe what happened, what's happening with these big barrels. But you know, it's kind of a double-edged sword. In the real world, out in the production industry, they do want them to grow. They want them in and out of those finishing barns as fast as they can. And so, but in a show ring, sometimes that extra growth kind of works against you. But it's kind of neat to see that performance. But getting back to the class, I think there's maybe one that, from a show pig standpoint and a show ring standpoint, maybe puts it all together, and that's your barrel right there. Kind of puts it all together in this class. He's just a really good, solid barrel. He's sound on his feet and legs. He really moves really good. He's leaner than maybe the other hogs in the class, and I just think there's a lot of quality in that barrel to start the class. Second place is going to go to yours over there, coming across the ring along the rail there. That's a very heavy muscle barrel. He's got a lot of shape to his top. There's a lot of expression to his hip and into his stifle muscle. He's maybe not quite as fluid in his movement, but we're going to use him in second because I think he's got a little extra carcass advantage over the bigger barrels. Amongst the 2 big barrels next, I'm going to go ahead and use this barrel in third and that barrel in fourth. I like their width. They're certainly wide, stout pigs. They just need to be a little leaner, I guess. They're a little past their prime, unfortunately, and they just maybe their hind legs too. You just maybe like to loosen them up. But extra growth, performance, you can't deny that they really represent what Durocs are known for, and that's that added growth rate. And then we'll finish with kind of the lighter barrel. He's struggling just a little bit off his hind legs. Just like to see him be a little more sound with a little bit more width. But nice, interesting class of barrels, a lot of variety, but nonetheless, good quality hogs. Congratulations.
In that Duroc Purebred Market Barrel class, first place was awarded to Emily Zukowski, second place to Garrett Kitchener. We're now on to class number 10, our Spot Purebred Market Barrel. If our 2 entries for the Spot class could make their way to the show ring, on deck is class 11, Yorkshire Purebred Market Barrel. On deck, class 11.
Again, you're watching coverage of the 2022 Dunn County Dairy Show on our YouTube channel at WRDN 1430, or at Duran Broadcasting WRDN, and online at realcountry1430.com. Thank you to our sponsors, including Synergy Co-op, your local LS tractor dealer. Visit synergycoop.com for more information. Also, Compeer Financial, a member-owned farm credit cooperative serving and supporting agriculture and rural communities. Visit compeer.com for more information. Bluff Country Feed and Seed, featuring feed for your livestock in Mondovi. Visit bluffcountryfs.com for more information. They're also your Dairyland seed dealer. O'Galley Cheese Factor for all of your snacking needs, featuring cheese, locally made beef sticks, sausages, and more. Open 7 days a week, Highway 25, Durand. Please thank all of our sponsors. Give them a call, drop them an email, tell them thank you for supporting our video streams as well. Without their support, this would not be made possible, so they make it possible. So
2 good solid spot
help them
barrels
out
here.
and
Here's
give them a call and tell them thank you.
It's kind of gaining a little traction that I've seen a lot of the 4-H and FFA youth shows. This breed is really powerful. A lot of times they have a lot of bone and a lot of width, and it's just kind of a productive breed, and they're very solid hogs. And if you look at these 2, they're solid. They're kind of functional. They move pretty decent, and they look like they grew well. So there's some good traits. I'm gonna go ahead and use your barrel to start the pair. I think he just has a little more shape, a muscle right down his top, and probably out through his rump. He's just a little more muscular than the other barrel. The other barrel, deep-bodied, obviously very sound, and can get out and go a little flatter, not quite the extra muscle shape that you see in the other barrel, but 2 good solid hogs. Congratulations.
I think that one should be in the pig race.
All right, in that Spot Purebred Market Barrel class, first place was exhibited by Kira Prochnow, and second place by Megan Prochnow. Now entering the ring is class 11, our Purebred Market Barrel Yorkshires. Class 11. These barrels weighed 235 pounds to 311 pounds.
different, but it's really it's no different than a news story that you would put together. It really is.
Again, currently in the show ring is our final class of purebred market barrows. Will be followed by our naming of our champion market barrel. So our first and second place purebred market barrows should be on deck. First place market barrows on deck. Again, the judge is making his final decisions on our last purebred market barrel class, our Yorkshire. We'll be naming our champion market barrels and then moving into our crossbred market barrel classes.
Well, this class had a lot of variety, and so kind of challenging in places because maybe you have to, be a little bit on different sides of the game as far as what traits you want to put your weighting on. And so, these three don't look alike. In fact, there's really no barrel in this class that really matches each other. There's not many in the class that have the same build. So there's some trade-offs there. To me, being consistent with the ones that are sound, the ones that are fresh and youthful and have a nice shape to them and can handle their feet and legs pretty good. I need to land on your barrel, young lady, start the class. So let's give her a nice round of applause. I like the youthfulness of the barrel. We're getting into some of these bigger barrels that just look a little bit maybe old and coarse and maybe not quite as fresh and youthful. And I like her, the front end, the head, the shape, the neatness through this front end. And you get down the top of her barrel, there's a really good shape of muscle down the barrel's top. He's not as heavy bone and as stout and as rugged as ideal. Maybe like to see bigger tree trunks on that guy, but he's really fresh and youthful and tall fronted. I think that's a nice place to land. These two don't look alike, and so it becomes a challenge which barrel you're going to put in second. I'm going to go ahead and land on the other kind of fresh, youthful barrel. I know he's kind of ring sour right now, and he's a little dirty to look at, but I think that barrel looks more like that other barrel that starts. They're a little nicer headed, they're a little more shapely, a little more youthful. He needs to be bigger in his rear legs and just have more bone and foot, but I think those two kind of match up. This guy right here is the unique and different one. He's just a little short necked, a little short coupled, a little short and all over, just kind of short and round in a few areas. I'd like to change him. Now, what makes him kind of interesting to me is he's really heavy bone. In Yorks, it's hard to get that extra bone and foot, and he's got that stoutness of bone and foot that probably as good as we've seen today, just a little shorter front, a little rounder. These two barrels that come out next, they belong together. If there's two barrels that look alike, maybe it's... Test. Test.
I'll be actually from Hudson, so I'll probably...
You're on?
1, 2.
How far is that from River Falls? Okay, then I'll probably stay out of front, because I need to go to Hudson that day.
Okay. So then, and then if anything, so you can just come over on Friday morning. If anything, you can stay at the house Friday night.
Okay, that would work great, yeah.
Just stay at the house on Friday night, and then, because then we'll have, I think it's dairy or Swine that's Saturday.
Okay.
And then the auction is Saturday. You don't have to stay for the auction, literally. So, what they do there is I'll probably still give you some of the Friday will keep doing some of this. And then I'll just kind of go from there. And then with Pierce, it was what, Friday again?
Thursday and Friday.
Okay. So that one is in Ellsworth, so it's easier.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Where are you?
Because it's in Ellsworth.
Where are you, where do you live?
I live in Durant.
I'll probably say it.
It's gonna be 45 minutes from Durant or from
Yeah. I think my friend lives in London, Ellsworth, so I may stay at her house too, so
that's fine.
that's what I'll probably do. What time were you thinking of me being at, in Mondozi on Friday? What time should I meet you at?
Probably about the same time.
1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. All right.
Test, test. Okay. Well, I don't know where we're at, but I was talking about the two barrels that went out together. They're just a little fatter, to be honest. They just needed more muscle and more expression. I like the soundness and those two that we were going to talk about, but they just get a little bit, need more leanness and more muscle expression. And then the barrels that conclude the class just weren't quite good enough on their feet and legs to be as competitive as they needed to be. So we're back and going again. So here we go.
Okay, in that Yorkshire Purebred Market Barrel class, first place was awarded to Mariah Creaser, second place to Jack Steinmeier, and third place to Braden Wolf. Congratulations. Now entering the ring will be our first place Purebred Market Barrels for naming of champion. Our first place Berkshire Market Barrel was exhibited by Emily Zukowski, weighing 255 pounds. Our first place Duroc Market Barrel was exhibited also by Emily Zukowski, weighing 272 pounds. Our first place Spot Market Barrel was exhibited by Kira Prochnow, weighing 252 pounds. And our first place Yorkshire Market Barrel was exhibited by Mariah Creaser, weighing 260 pounds. Second place Purebred Market Barrels should be on deck for naming a reserve champion.
Well, let's give these exhibitors a good round of applause here for the great purebred classes. I tell you what, this is really neat. I don't know if those around ringside understand what you're seeing here, but a lot of these fairs I judge, the the kids just don't want to show purebred hogs, and so you go to a place and you might get 1 or 2 purebred barrows, and then the crossbreds are so popular amongst the 4-Hers and FFAers, so that's all they want to show. But I like how this county, and I was here maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and then last year again. And boy, this part of the show has really grown, and I like actually now how you separated the breeds so you can showcase the breeds. And so a kid can go out and buy a nice Berk or buy a nice Spot or any breed and just kind of have that opportunity to showcase the breed because you don't see this at a lot of fairs. So this is awesome to see. And then when you get a chance to see 4 breed winners and 4 good breed winners, 4 high quality barrows that could go a lot of places and be competitive in their breeds, that just makes it really good. The Berkshire, we saw him, and just solid. Good muscle shape, good stoutness for a Berk. You like a lot of things about him. The Spot was really a good representation of the Spot breed. Big hip, a lot of power through their rump and ham. And then the Duroc came out here, and boy, if you can find a good Duroc, you got something in America, because they're winning barrow shows and they're really popular. And so you like this barrow's soundness and the design and the freshness he has. And then Yorks are always popular amongst the kids, and they're usually the biggest breed shows at a lot of fairs if you have a Yorkshire breed division. And that barrow over there, I liked his freshness, and he was useful, and he was clean and sharp in his features. And so congratulations, guys. Hopefully you can keep this up. I think that's what makes your county kind of special. Relative to a lot of counties I've judged, that's what makes it special. And the fact we get to judge outside under the trees. This is the only county I get to judge outside under the trees, and I love it. That's what makes it special. At least I love it today when it's 65 degrees, not when it's 102. But awesome deal. My favorite barrel in the purebred classes today is the Duroc. Let's give her a nice round of applause. That's a really nice barrel.
Our champion purebred market barrow was awarded to Emily Zukowski and her Duroc. We'll ask the second place Duroc to come back to the show ring, exhibited by Garrett Kitchener, weighing 258 pounds.
For reserve champion, now that Duroc is in contention for that, he gets dropped in here as the second. He was heavy muscled and really heavy bone. Look at the size of the foot on that guy. Like his heaviness of bone really well. I did mention earlier that he doesn't maybe move and drive quite as good off both ends of his skeleton. You like to free him up a little bit to make him even better, but appreciate his bone and his heaviness of foot size there. My second favorite barrow in the purebred division belongs to the young lady over there with the Yorkshire barrel. She'll be reserve champion. Congratulations.
Our reserve champion market barrel was exhibited by Mariah Creaser. Congratulations. We're now moving on to our crossbred barrows. Our lightweight class 12, please make your way to the show ring. Our 3 barrows in class 12, please make your way to the show ring.
The market broadcast at 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, 12:30 is the long one, and then 1:30 and 2:30.
1:30 and 3:30.
Okay, so no 2:30.
No, because we're in the market show already. So the show that we have is, that's already, so we don't have to do anything.
Yeah. So
That's
this
in-
one's for 11:30.
Correct.
Cool. Okay. Cool. Yeah. We're living the life, right?
You bet, you bet.
Watching coverage of the 2022 Dunn County Swine Show. I'm Brian Winnikins from Real Country 1430 AM and 107.3 FM, WRDN. Reminder, you can always listen to WRDN online at realcountry1430.com. We have 7 hours of farm programming throughout the day. Our morning farm shows from 5 to 7 a.m. Market updates at 9:30, 10:30, and 11:30. Our noon farm show as well. And then from 1 until 3, it's Agri Talk with Chip Flory. And from 3 till 4, it's AOA with Mike Pearson. Susan Littlefield joins us with the final bell at about 4:20. Also have programming with Max Armstrong as well at the Midwest Digest and Farm Progress America. Again, you can listen to WRDN online as well at realcountry1430.com. or on your phone, use the Live 365 app. Do a search for WRDN. You can also use the TuneIn app as well to listen to WRDN. And, of course, we have Alexa to listen to the station.
I have a question. So when you have those syndicated shows, do you pay them or do they pay you?
Cooper Kitchener, do you have a lightweight crossbred market barrel for this class? So while the pig is running to the show ring or running around the barn, and the adults are running after it, we'll do a little facts here. So the advantage of crossbred pigs, as we just finished up purebred, is that increased pig survival and growth rate are the main benefits of the crossbreeding program. Crossbred pigs have a higher survival rate than purebreds. And of course, we always thank our adult volunteers for their assistance in getting the pigs to the show ring. So thank you all adults. Again, in the show ring is class number 12, our lightweight crossbred barrows, weighing 192 to 226. Our class 13 should be on deck. Class 13 crossbred market barrow on deck.
As we start into the barrow show, 3 different kind of hogs here. All of them, though, have muscle. There's plenty of shape to each of their tops. There's plenty of muscle dimension when you look at them through their rump and into the stifle region. There's plenty of muscle in all those. I think really what separates these probably are just a little better designed hog, and that's where your blue-eyed barrow has the advantage. I'm going to use him in first place. I think he's taller at the top of his shoulder. I think he's a little more extended through his head and neck and has just a little neater top line in him than the barrel I'm going to use second. I'm going to use the black barrel in second. He's really powerful in terms terms of the muscle he has down his top. Congratulations. Muscle down his top, and there's a lot of hip and ham, but you can see he's a little bit, kind of a little coarser about his neckline and his front end. Breaks a little bit behind his shoulder and doesn't have quite that extra balance maybe that the first place one has. And then the other blue-eyed barrel, the smaller one's going to be in third. He may have the most bone of any barrel that's in the class, and he's really heavy structured, but his hip gets a little bit rounder. His rear legs get a little more bow-legged. He's not quite as fluid in the way he goes off his rear legs. So nice way to start off our market barrel class. Congratulations.
In that lightweight market barrel class, first place went to Jack Steinmeier, second place to Cooper Kitchener. Now entering the ring should be class 13, our crossbred market barrels, weighing 243 to 257 pounds. Again, class 13 to the show ring. Again, currently in the show ring is class 13 of our crossbred market barrels. Class 14 should be on deck.
Good solid set of barrows here. A lot of variety as you look through the class, but I think there's a kind of a one-horse race in this deal, and that's your barrow coming across the middle. He kind of won this thing first time I saw him come in the ring. He's not perfect. I would like to kind of fix his front feet just a little bit. He's kind of down on his pasterns just a little bit. But other than that, he's really the cool one to look at. He's really sharp and stout about his skull, and he's got a good chest floor in him. Comes at you really opened up in his blade. Really, really nice up there. Good top shape, fed really well. Fitted, and hair and skin is really good on this barrel. Again, he's a little down on his front tires, just like to jack him up there. But that's a good barrel to start. The other belted barrel is going to be the second place barrel the young lady has there in the kind of orange reddish shirt here. To me, he's the next best one. He's really sound. He's actually maybe one of the best structured barrels in the class. Where he gets beat is the muscle shape. He's not quite as crisp and fresh right along his loin edge, but other than that, real sound, good body, good productive barrel for second. This guy here is really muscular. I like the freshness and expression he has down his top. The white barrel's got a big hip and a lot of muscle in this guy, and he's pretty heavy boned actually. He's got some foot size, a little hollowed out today, not quite that depth of rib, not quite that openness to his heart and his forerib. Just like to see a little bit more of a productive kind of rib shape in this guy, but stout bone, very muscular. The black pig that comes here next is really, he caught my eye right away from the side view. I like his extra height at the top of his shoulder. He's really extended from his blade forward, removes good. Then I saw the barrel coming at me and going away, and I just want to open him up. He's one of the kind of flatter made hogs coming and going. Beautiful side view, just needs to be opened up just a bit. Real sound though. This guy here just needs a little more bone and foot. I like his rib shape. I like his body kind of in terms of his levelness, but you watch him going away, he's a little flatter through the base of his ham, needs a little bit more bone. Then we get into these two muscular barrels that just aren't quite sound enough. You know, they're just laboring out here just a little bit as they go. Maybe you like the body, you like the muscle down their top, but this barrel right here is kind of out in his hocks to the point where he struggles a little bit. The other barrel, unfortunately, just really stiff off both ends. Tremendous amount of muscle, just need to be skeletally, unfortunately, more correct in the way they move. Then we get down the line and some barrows here just need a little bit more soundness as well. Their hocks aren't quite right. They're just not quite as correct. The black barrel just needs to be a little more opened up with a little more muscle. The other belter barrel, like I said, his hocks are just a little bit incorrect the way they bow out like that. Just like to fix that barrel's structure. So good set of barrels. Congratulations all through the class.
In our second class of crossbred market barrows, first place was awarded to Nate Edwards, second place to Emily Zukowski, and third place to Ashton Greenwell. We're now entering Class 14. Class 14 crossbred market barrows to the show ring. These barrows weighed 257 to 273 pounds. Again, Class 14 to the show ring. Again, Class 14 is in the show ring right now. Class 15, our Crossbred market barrels, should be on deck. As the judge is working on this class, again, our judge today is Kyle Rosenboom. He is a senior lecturer at the University of Minnesota and has said a little bit about his farm and growing up, showing the different breeds of pigs. Has been able to judge our fair for a couple years now, so we appreciate him coming back with all of our hogs today. Just a reminder of the auction that will be happening on Saturday evening. Hopefully we'll have nice weather like we do, nice and cool weather again today, and so we invite you back. If you are a bidder, be sure to come early for the meal that is served by the senior 4-H and FFA exhibitors. And again, the auction Saturday evening here under the oak trees. Just a little fun fact for you. In the past, hogs were fed table scraps and had a reputation for eating just about anything. The meat from hogs fed that way was very high in fat, though. And hogs would eat anything from corn, grass, clover, and table scraps that would otherwise have been garbage. Thus, the word hogwash, meaning something that is worthless, came from this practice.
For me, as I look through this class, I think there's just two barrows that come to the forefront, a nice solid third that follows them. But these two barrows, to me, kind of elevate to the top pretty quickly, and because they just catch my eye. They're just very stylish hogs that are being shown well, and so that certainly adds to their appeal. But they're good-looking pigs. They're sharp in their front ends. They have nice shape to their top. They've been fed and handled really well up to this point. Skin and hair is nice on those barrows, so they kind of have a good show pig look. To me, there's just one barrow that's just better structured. His skeleton's more inside himself. He's just more mobile, and that's kind of the tricolored barrow here, right, that's in front of me. So congratulations on your first place winning barrow. He's better. His hocks are more inside his skeleton. He maintains more correctness when he drives away from you. Other than that, though, they're very similar coming at you. They both have a good chest floor in them. They're both good moving hogs off their front ends. They have nice rib shape to them. He's just sounder as he goes behind and has that little advantage over the belted barrel. Belted barrel, tremendous amount of muscle in this guy, really wide coming and going. His hocks bow out just a little bit. He's not inside his skeleton quite as correctly. I like to redesign the angle to his hock, but that's a good barrel. That's his second in a tough class. The blue butt barrel here, the blue blanketed barrel, is going to go third. He wants to bow up his top just a little bit and dip right behind his shoulder. His top line isn't quite as level as the other two, but he can match the other two on chest floor width. He can match them on muscle. He can match them on bone. He just can't match them on design. His side view profile isn't quite as strong as those first two barrels. barrels. Big bodied barrel comes here next and fourth. I love the rib and the center body and dimension that he has. He's just a little plainer through his front end. You can just see he's a little shorter necked, a little bit looser in the base of his neckline there, but he can match some other barrels on body and hip and thickness, just a little plainer fronted. The white barrel that comes here next is a little leaner, a little sharper and neater necked, but he's a barrel that gets a little flatter about his body. His rib cage is flatter, his hip is a little more narrow when you get right behind him, but he's a nice side view profile. Is tall fronted, extended. Just like to see him be more complete from the standpoint of some extra width. And then we get into a couple barrels that it's more, maybe to me, they're just a little bit plainer in terms of their muscle shape, not quite as lean and as expressive. This guy gets a little softer underneath, not quite that extra freshness of top. This guy here gets a little flatter in his ham shape, not quite as much dimension down his top. And then the two remaining barrels, they're certainly lean enough, but they need a little more muscle expression when you get right behind them for them to move up in the class.
In that crossbred market barrel class, first place was awarded to Nate Edwards. Second place to William Wanish, and third place to Danica Doomer. Congratulations. In class 15, making their way to the show ring, our crossbred market barrels ranged in weight from 274 to 283 pounds. Again, class 15 to the show ring. Again, class 15 is in the show ring. We have one more crossbred market barrel class, class 16, and then we will name our champion and reserve champion crossbred market barrels. Just a little more hog facts for you. In some areas back in the day, hogs would be turned out to find their own food. They would roam freely, eating what they could find, acorns from the ground and roots, which they dug from, of course, with their snouts. On Manhattan Island in New York, the hog rampaged through grain fields until farmers were forced to build a wall to keep them out. The street running along this wall became known as Wall Street.
Well, it's getting a little warm out here. Maybe for the pigs, I'm still comfortable. It's not hot yet, but the pigs are getting warmed up, so we'll try to get through this as quickly as we can. You're going to have first place barrel in this class, young lady. You know that as they get warmed up, I'm going to try to see if I can get a good look right away, and then if they do get acting up, it's going to be okay. And I saw your barrel come in the ring, and I really like that kind of hog. He's really stout, he's square, he looks just like our other class winners in terms of that extra squareness of build and that squareness of top, and he just heavy bone. We'll see how he matches up. Hopefully he'll get kind of cooled down, and you can get a good drive with him here in the overall division. But that's a good barrel. Second place is going to be over here, a young man to my right here. If your barrel was just a little looser off his hind legs, he just gets a little choppy, he could really compete with that other barrel, but he's just not quite as sound as that first place barrel off his rear legs. But I like his length of front end. He's really got a nice level top in him, and he's fresh and been fed well, and he's got a little extra shag on him now. You start to hear Judge talk about a little extra shag on that barrel, and he's got a nice look to him. He's just a little choppy, to be honest, off both ends, but that's a good kind of hog. The painted up barrel here, the painted barrel is going to go third. He looks a lot like the second barrel. They're clean necked hogs. They're very level. He's just a little flatter in his muscle shape. I don't see quite the leanness and top shape and that true expression that the first and second place barrels have. But that's a good solid barrel. Maybe one of the better third place barrels we've actually had today. That's a good hog, just not quite as fresh. This guy here just gets a little up in his top, a little steeper and tighter out of his hip. He's chock full of muscle. He may be one of the heavier muscle barrels we had in the class. Just doesn't quite handle it as good as those others that went above him. But that's a good solid barrel that sits there next. Here's a good barrel in terms of bone and had some body and some chest width. You can see he gets a little bit steeper out of his hip. His hind legs want to get a little bit more bow-legged. Doesn't handle maybe his structure quite as good, but chock full of muscle, a lot of power in that barrel. The two white barrels that come here next, and I could just kind of group these two together because they're very much alike. Good deep foreribs in them, good deep center bodies in them. They just get a little flatter in terms of muscle. They're not quite as full out through their rump, not quite as much shape and expression as you get to the center lower portions of their ham. The black belted barrel coming next just needs a little more width of body. He's a little more narrow in his chest. I like to just open him up. And then the heavy muscle barrel that goes out, you can see he's just a little more tentative off his rear legs, a little bit more on sound there, just like to fix that part about him. Nice set of barrels. Congratulations.
In Class 15 of our Crossbred Market Barrows, first place was exhibited by Miranda Creaser, second place by Braden Wolf, and third place by Chase Albrecht. Congratulations. We're now entering our final Crossbred Market Barrel class, Class 16. Those barrows weighing 285 to 310 pounds. Again, this is our final class of Crossbred Market Barrels. Following Class 16, we will name our champion and reserve champion Crossbred Market Barrel. Again, in the show ring is our class number 16, our final class of Crossbred Market Barrels. We would ask the first place as well as second place Market Barrels, Crossbred Market Barrels to be on deck for naming of champion Market Barrel.
A very good competitive class here, barrels. These top three are probably the closest trio that we've had in maybe the barrel classes. You know, we've had some other classes where there was a kind of a pair, maybe a one-horse race, but excuse me, I think this trio is really good. There's some trade-offs. There's maybe not a barrel in here that is perfect in every respect. Maybe there's some places you like to fix each of these three barrels, but I think that's what kind of makes them close. I'm going to go ahead and use this colored up barrel here to start the class. Let's give her a nice round of applause. He's really stout. I think where he excels the second place barrel, which is going to be the white barrel, where he excels the white barrel is he's got more bone and more foot size, and he opens up in his chest floor with a little bit more extra width and power when he comes at you. He's got a huge top in him. He's got a big hip in him. Where I'd like to tweak him a little bit is he just every once in a while just gets a little short in his stride behind. I'd just like to see him, reach with grab more ground as he goes behind. So there's maybe some trade-offs there. The white barrel, on the other hand, he gets a little more refined in his look. He's a little smaller in terms of bone and foot size, and he too probably, to be honest, could reach and grab with a little bit more extra stretch behind as he goes. I love the white barrel's forerib. I love his top. I think he's been just fed extremely well, where he has a fresh top in him, not quite as stout. The black-headed barrel is interesting. He's a little plainer in his muscle shape, not quite that extra bloom to his top, but he's heavy bone, and he's maybe the sounder of the top three, but he comes in a plainer muscled package. So there's trade-offs that go back and forth, but still that's what makes it competitive. All three very high quality. The silver barrel here that comes next, he's a little leaner maybe than some of the remaining barrels. He needs to walk wider behind with just a little bit more width of base, but he's long body, he's lean, he's pretty lean at his 10th. I think carcass merit's going to be good. And then we move down the line and we can kind of start sorting these barrels out here. Here's a wide, heavy muscle barrel that gets a little more fine in his bone. He needs a little bit more foot size and heaviness of skeleton, but he's got a big hip in him. He's more muscular than the barrels that he come behind him. I think he can beat them on muscle and width. The black-legged barrel here with the belt just needs a little bit more width of base. The other silver gray barrel needs a little more width of base. These two kind of look alike. They're big frame, lean hogs that just need a little more width and a little more ruggedness and power. The sandy barrel that comes here, a little more refined than ideal, a little lighter boned, but he is lean. He's going to have a decent leanness probe. The white pig that goes out, he just needs to be structured up a little bit different. He gets a little more awkward as he travels, but he's got enough hip in him. Just like to see him sounder. So nice set of barrels. Congratulations.
In our heavyweight crossbred market barrel class, first place was exhibited by Mariah Creaser. Second place, Brenna Berg. Third place, Eli Biesterveld. Congratulations. We'll now be asking our first place crossbred market barrels to the show ring for naming of our champion. In our lightweight class, first place was exhibited by Jack Steinmeier with a barrow weighing 215 pounds. Class 13, our first place was exhibited by Nate Edwards with a pig weighing 253 pounds. Class 14, our first place was also exhibited by Nate Edwards with a pig weighing 257 pounds. Class 15, the barrow was exhibited by Miranda Creaser, weighing 275 pounds. And in our heavyweight class, the first place was also exhibited by Mariah Creaser, weighing 285 pounds. Please have your second place Crossbred market barrows on deck for naming of reserve champion.
Well, let's put our hands together and congratulate these barrel exhibitors here on an outstanding show. It's been a really top-notch show, ladies and gentlemen, around ringside, and hopefully you can see by our class-winning barrows that it takes just a little bit extra to get out here for the champion drive. You know, we talked about a lot of different traits of importance in judging pigs, from muscle to stoutness to width, and now it gets to be just which one puts it together to the highest degree and which one has those maybe those extra bells and whistles that kind of a judge likes to see, just that extra pizzazz. But I will tell you this hog show has been really fun to judge, and we got some tremendous class winners that I would have loved to have at some other fairs I've already did this summer. I would have loved to have these barrels at those fairs, because then I could have left feeling confident that the champion is one I want, because these kind of pigs win shows at other places I've been to. So congratulations. And I know it takes a lot of work. We do this at our house, and you just don't you know, when I was in 4-H and with my brothers and sisters, we would kind of just go out to the finishing floor a week before the fair and tag one and let's go to the fair. You don't do that anymore. This is a sport. If you follow the show pig industry, this is a sport. This is what kids do. They don't, some of the top end show kids, they don't play baseball, they don't play softball, they show pigs. And this is a morning activity, getting up early to exercise, wash, skin, hair. These guys get fed better than me. I don't know if anyone in the crowd feeds these pigs show pig additives. Anyone do that? Those show pig additives cost more than what I get to eat every day. We calculated our barrow at home. My son did some calculations, and he said, "Dad, we're feeding about $5 to $6 a meal to this pig." Holy moly. I only get Rice Krispies for breakfast. So now our pigs eat better than I do. And so that's what it takes, so to be honest. I'll just be brutally honest. To make these pigs look as good as they are, and as special as these pigs look today, it takes effort, time, input. It takes a whole family. You know the old saying, it takes a village. It does take a family. Because if my kids are gone out of judging practice, or if they do go do a sporting event,
mom and pa are out walking the pigs at night in the backyard. So it's a family event. So my hat's off to the families that put these pigs together for me to look at. It has been truly a pleasure because these are some top-end pigs, and I really like seeing the good ones. So congratulations. I know we got Showmanship left, and yeah, I mean, they do need a round of applause. To get these pigs to this level, it takes a lot of effort. So congratulations. There's one pig to me that just it tripped my trigger, to be honest. This one struck me hard when I first saw the first drive of this pig. It came in the ring. It made a great pass. It just it got me excited about showing pigs and the way they're supposed to be made. I would like to tweak his front feet just a little bit. If I'd raise him up on his front pasterns, he could even go even higher in America. But he's really good. I'm just being very picky. But the young man over there in the bluish turquoise shirt, he's got your champion barrel. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a really good one. Let's put our hands together.
Our champion Crossbred Market Barrel was exhibited by Nate Edwards. Congratulations. We're now having Emily Zukowski with our second place hog weighing 257 in the ring for naming of reserve champion Crossbred Market Barrel.
These pigs are getting a little warmed up out here, so I'm not going to take long. There was another barrel that I looked at out here that wasn't far behind. He actually has a really big stout forearm. He's got an extra special bone and foot size about him that it really makes him neat to look at. I didn't know if he was quite as attractive in his overall look up through his front end, but he's not far behind him. Young lady, you're going to be reserve champion Crossbred Barrel. Congratulations.
Our reserve champion Crossbred Market Barrel was exhibited by Miranda Creaser. We'll now be going into naming our overall market hog. Would our champion Purebred Market Gilt, exhibited by Nate Edwards, please come to the show ring. Our champion Crossbred Market Gilt, exhibited by Brenna Berg. Our champion Duroc, exhibited by Emily Zukowski. And our champion Market Barrow, exhibited by Nate Edwards. Please make your way to the show ring for naming of our overall market hog. Again, we would like our champion market animals back to the show ring for naming of overall market hog. Our champion purebred market gilt was exhibited by Nate Edwards, the Yorkshire, weighing 252 pounds. Our champion crossbred market gilt was exhibited by Brenna Berg, weighing 270 pounds. Our champion purebred market barrow was the Duroc, exhibited by Emily Zukowski, weighing 272 pounds. And our champion crossbred market barrow, exhibited by Nate Edwards, weighed 253 pounds. Again, the judge is naming our grand champion overall market hog. We would ask our
Well, congratulations to the respective division winners out here now as they compete for Grand Champion overall market hog. What a tremendous show. I mean, if you look across the gamut of what we have to select from out here, these are really top-end kind of pigs. I think they have that extra look about them, very stylish, and have the kind of a trendy show pig kind of build about them. They're really square, but yet they're all really pretty good in terms of balance and feet and legs, and you've heard me talk a lot of different traits today, so I won't talk too much longer. But there's one favorite to me that I think is just a nickel's worth cooler to look at. Young man, you got the champion overall market hog. Congratulations.
Our grand champion market hog today was exhibited by Nate Edwards with his Crossbred Market Barrow. We would ask the reserve champion Crossbred Market Barrow, exhibited by Miranda Creaser, to the show ring for naming of reserve.
Well, for reserve champion, I won't take too much time. We had great representation across our classes. Again, a really high quality set of market gilts and a really high quality purebred barrel. Last year, I think I got reminded I used a purebred Duroc barrel for Supreme overall, and he was a really neat barrel to look at. And this one is also fun to look at. But to me, I got to keep the crossbreds together. They're just really neat hogs and fun to look at and have some extra quality about them. You'll be reserve champion. Congratulations.
And our grand reserve champion market hog today was exhibited by Miranda Creaser with her Crossbred Market Barrel. That concludes all of our purebred and crossbred, or purebred and market classes. We'll now be moving on to class number 17, our bred and owned class. Bred and owned, class 17, please make your way to the show ring. Tina Edwards, could you come to the announcer table? Big Queen to the announcing table. Our next class following bred and owned will be showmanship. We will begin with senior showman, class 18. Senior, we have two classes of senior showmanship, followed by intermediate and then beginner.
Listening to coverage of the 2022 Dunn County Swine Show. For us, we will be stepping away from the Swine Show here after this class. And because we have to get set up for the beef show at 1 o'clock, which will return at 1 o'clock for the beef show on our YouTube channel. Again, please thank all of our sponsors as well. Drop them an email, give them a phone call, visit their businesses, tell them thank you for supporting our coverage here from the Dunn County Fair. Without their support, we couldn't make it happen, so please thank them. Don't forget, like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Duran Broadcasting WRDN. and click the bell for future notifications. That will.
So in this class, this is the bred and owned division. So these hogs are, it's kind of neat because these are the hogs that were raised by these families and they were raised within their county, I guess. So it's kind of neat to see and showcase a local producer's breeding program and what they're kind of putting together. And so I think this bred and owned division is really kind of neat. We do that in our house with our cattle. My kids have bred and owned heifers we go to shows with, and it's under their names, and they own the cows and the registration papers. And so I think it's kind of a neat division. It allows, again, a kid to showcase what they're doing in their own operation. So for champion and reserve champion bred and owned, we've seen these hogs. I've discussed these hogs quite a bit today, and you kind of know what I like. So it's pretty hard not to use the overall champion barrel as champion bred and owned. So you get another banner on the wall, young man. Congratulations for your overall champion. And reserve champion, I'm going to use the market gilt that came out earlier that won that tough market gilt show. So congratulations. Good job.
In our bred and owned class, champion was exhibited by Nate Edwards, and reserve champion bred and owned exhibited by Brenna Berg. Congratulations. We will now be moving into showmanship.
And so that will conclude. I'll wrap up our coverage of the swine show here from the Dunn County Fair. Again, we'll be back on our YouTube channel at Duran Broadcasting WRDN 1 o'clock for the beef show from the Dunn County Fair. I'm Brian Winnekens.